Welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our coverage of the 2014 fantasy baseball season. We're pumped up for the draft, and in this episode we'll get into second baseman. I'm RJ here with Kyle and Justin. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. At number one, is there any question we have? Robinson Cano. Now he's going to Seattle. Not as easy to hit home runs there in Seattle as it is in New York. Last year he muscled out 27 jacks along with a .314 average. He actually got to 107 RBIs. That's great for a second baseman.
Yeah, I mean, the sweetest swing in baseball, man. I mean, this guy, he still has a lot of years left. He's going to have another amazing season with Seattle.
He's going to have a lot of doubles this season, too.
Yeah,
those homers in Yankee Stadium are now doubles in Safeco. And that's all right. His average is still going to be well over 300. He's going to be knocking in ribbies. I'm a little worried about the lineup around him in Seattle now, but we'll see if they add anybody else.
Yep. Number two, we got to go to Dustin Pedroia, the World Series hero there. Congratulations to the Red Sox. Dustin Pedroia was certainly one of their better players. And you got to say, his 9 home runs and 17 stolen bases was pretty much on the low end that we normally see with him. He was dealing with an injury last year, so at second base it's great, but I think we expect even better this year.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a down season for him during the regular season, but I mean, obviously coming off the World Series, he's probably going to have a pretty good season to start off with.
Yeah, Ian Kinsler at number 3, going to a new home in Detroit. 13 homers and 15 stolen base. He's another one of these middle-of-the-road guys that we see at second base, but he's extremely consistent. We've seen him do it for a long time, and he's in a very good lineup, which you really have to give a lot of, that's big-time points here.
I'm surprised you're going with Kinsler here, because I got to go with somebody else over him. That's been Zobrist, who I think is going to have a bigger season this year than Ian Kinsler at second base.
Now, Ben Zobrist I have a little bit lower than other guys here. What do you think he had? Last year he had 12 homers, 11 stolen bases, and a .275 average. Now he's going to need to get better in one of those stats to justify a top spot. What are you looking at?
Oh, I think his power is going to come around. It's already been mentioned to him in spring so far. The ball's bouncing off his bat. He's
nice.
Made a few off-season adjustments. I feel with that whole Rays lineup there, you got a lot of good hitters. I think Ben Zobrist is probably their number one leader on that team as far as like captain is concerned.
Really?
Everyone kind of looks up to Ben Zobrist. The guy does everything right, and it's going to pay off. And I think this is the season that's going to pay off for him.
Yeah, now Ben Zobrist has eligibility at multiple positions.
And that's the other thing.
So he's going to be one of those players that everybody's going to have their eye on. So good luck getting him. Definitely one of those guys you're going to want to try to grab and put on your team, because you can stick him at definitely multiple positions, especially if you're playing the ESPN leagues where they have the middle infielder position and all that. So definitely try to grab Zoe if you can. Coming back up the list, the one guy I thought you were going to mention, who I have at number 4, is Jason Kipnis. This guy's put up some big numbers in Cleveland. He almost got to 20 last year. He hit 17 home runs, but we saw 30 stolen bases out of him with a nice .284 average. He's a little bit streaky, but at second base, he definitely can put up some big numbers.
He's one of the few second basemen with true power, hitting jacks. Him and Cano and Kinsler. And Zobrist, I don't know if I see that, Kyle, this year. Despite his swing adjustments and stuff, he's more of a doubles and singles guy. Last year he kind of struggled. It was a little disappointing, but this year, well, let's hope for the bounce back.
And it's funny you say that, because even though he struggled, he's still ranked highly as a second baseman, which shows you, second base is one of those positions. If you can just get a guy who is consistent and he's putting up stats, that's really going to help out your team. Number 5, talking about putting up stats, Matt Carpenter for the St. Louis Cardinals. This guy had 126 runs last year.
Yeah,
to go with a 318 average.
That. I kind of have Matt Carpenter down a little lower this year.
It is hard to repeat that. Very hard.
I mean, I don't see him repeating that, but I think you have him at a pretty good spot here in your order.
Yeah. Another guy with multiple position eligibility.
Yep.
Martin Prado is a guy I look to have a pretty good season. He's number 6. He's surrounded by a lot of good players in Arizona, with them adding Mark Trumbo. Last year, look at his stats. He's another guy who started off slow, but at the end of the year when the dust settled, 14 home runs, 82 RBIs, a .282 average. You'll take that out of second base.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Except for the fact that he only had 3 stolen bases. I personally like to find a second baseman with a little bit of speed. It's hard to find speed at all positions, so second base is a good place to find it.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Prado. Zobrist, number 7 for me. We'll see. Of course, he's one of those players that changes from year to year. He's always solid, but sometimes you see him with more stolen bases. Sometimes you see him with a higher average, more power. We'll see what Zobrist we get this year. Number 8, Brandon Phillips.
Yeah.
He's a little, kind of fallen off, you could say, but he's going to still produce there in Cincinnati. Last year, he still put up his own 18 homers.
Still one of the best fielding second basemen, just to mention that. I mean, it has nothing to do with fantasy, but...
Yeah, he's a Gold Glove winner.
He's ridiculous.
Now, last year we saw a 261 average out of him, so hopefully he doesn't let that slip too much further, because that's not going to help his stats at all. Okay, if you see his average go down, everything else will follow.
Yeah, of course.
Aaron Hill, a guy we like a lot at number 9, but he's certainly injury prone. I mean, he had that left hand injury, which really knocked him out for a while, but he came back with a 291 average. If he stays healthy, he's guaranteed to be a top 10 second baseman. But that's a question mark. He's a guy we've always seen him get injured going back to his Toronto days.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Number 10, a guy we like a lot, an up-and-coming player in San Diego. Kyle, what do you think about Jedd Gyorko?
Jedd Gyorko. I mean, this guy is like he reminds me of Robinson Cano and like pure hitters. You see guys that they just get it. They understand how to hit the ball. The ball flies off of his bat, and I mean, for a second baseman that's got a little bit of power and is kind of a 5-tool player, is something you need to snatch up, especially because he's got third base eligibility as well.
Yep. The only problem with Jedd Gyorko is that he does not have any speed, really. So that's a problem. Let's move on to number 11, Daniel Murphy. Really good all-around player. Now, can he repeat his statistics from last season where he put up a 92 run, 13 homers is very good, 23 stolen bases we like a lot, along with that 286 average. So if he can put up those stats, that's money in the bank.
Yep.
But he's one of those players, we've only seen it one season. As we know in baseball, every season is different from the next. So can he repeat that? Finishing off the top 12 list is Jose Altuve for Houston.
There he is.
Now, if he had better players around him, he would be way further up this list. But this guy cannot get any help. If it wasn't for his stolen bases, he'd be an afterthought. But 35 stolen bases out of a player who can hit for a high average. Last year, he hit 283. That's disappointing for him. We expected possibly over 320.
Because he's getting pitched around because they have no one else on that
good
team.
point.
I mean, it sucks that a second baseman's getting pitched around. I mean, unless you're Robinson Cano, it doesn't really happen. So it's definitely a lot harder for him, man.
Yep, so that's the top 12. One guy we got to mention here is, can Chase Utley stay healthy? If he does, he's going to be another guy who's really going to help out your team at a discounted price. But he's had a lot of injury problems lately, and he's only getting older.
A guy I still like a lot is Neil Walker from Pittsburgh. I think he's just one of those guys. He is streaky at times, but I think that Pittsburgh team is going to be solid this year. I like a lot of their hitters. Neil Walker's a guy I think that you can still get there in the top 12 and still be happy with him.
He's been disappointing, so he's certainly due for a breakout season.
He's looked good so far in spring, so.
And he's going to go low, so he's going to come at a nice cost.
Exactly.
And last guy we got to mention here on our second base preview is Jurickson Profar. He's dealing with injuries right now, and he's the guy that's coming in to replace Ian Kinsler. This is why the Rangers were so, this is why they traded such a good player.
This guy, I just have not seen enough from him yet.
He's a player I like a lot, but I agree. We have not seen him
just
on that
from the
level.
offensive side. I've seen what he can do on the defense. He's an amazing fielder, but just the offensive side, he hasn't clicked yet.
And it's got to worry you that he's already hurt. He's already aching, feeling the pains before the season starts. That's not going to bode well.
Yeah. So if he stays healthy and he does his thing, he's going to put up some good stats at second base. But we do not like players coming into the year injured. That's a bad sign. So make sure to check out every other position preview here at Trippy Commentaries. Hit us up if you need any help or have any questions. We got your back. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. We'll see you in the next episode.